Hello, I'd like to give you a quick demonstration of a PowerShell script I've been working on to allow cloning of ESXi, VMware VMs, where you don't have vCenter. For those of us like home users or smaller enterprises, just to make it a whole lot easier so you don't have to mess about copying disks, renaming them, dropping into VM KFS tools, etc. And what it does is clone all the hardware of a selected VM, which includes multiple disks, multiple NICs, all that sort of side of things. So the simplest way we run it is like this, with no command line parameters at all. Fires up a nice little WPF user interface. You can see we've already connected, but where's it's got the IP address from? Well, you see down here at the bottom we have save settings. So when that's ticked, we save the ESXi host and our template pattern name to the registry, so we don't have to keep entering it every time. So the template pattern name is I'll go out and find all VMs when I click fetch, which match that name. So we can see now our drop down list has been populated with names of my VMs which have got sysprep in them, and as you can probably guess, they are operating systems where I've built them up and sysprep them. So I'm going to pick a server 2016. Notice my snapshot is grayed out at the moment, so if I were to clone it at this point, then what it would do is just create a copy of the disk. I mean, it's a thin disk, but it's 20 something gig already, so that would take a little while depending on the speed of your data stores. Of course, we need to pick a data store. I've got 3. If there was only one, it would pick that automatically. So I'm going to clone it to my SSD. Don't need to put notes in, but what the hell. But what I'm actually going to do is create a linked clone. And what that means is, rather than copying all of that source disk, or all 23 gig of it, as the thin disk is at the moment, it's just going to create a delta disk and link to that, so it's much quicker to create and saves on disk space, of course. But then I have to pick a snapshot. I've only got one, so those are the snapshots for that particular VM. We've also got a start after creation button down here. Of course, keyboard accelerators, as you'd expect if I need to, so Alt S would have done that. And I'm ready to go. But let's think or pretend that I forgot to put a VM name in. Yeah, so before I click OK, it will do all sorts of sanity checking and not allow you to click OK to do the clone until you've got the parameters right as far as it can tell, so that I don't have to then go and enter all the details again. So we're going to produce this VM. I'm going to click OK now. GUI disappears because it's done its job. What we can actually do here is, and I'll show you this shortly, is drive the whole thing through the command line as well. So I can script creation of one or more clones. You may have noticed in there was a box to put in a number of clones, and we'll come back to that again shortly. It's obviously fairly quiet there in terms of what it's doing, although we can see behind the scenes here it's created my demo VM. There it is. In fact, we'll go and have a look at its properties in a moment. I can give it a minus verbose if I want to. It'll actually tell me what's going on. Recommend that if you want a more comfortable feeling that you can see exactly what it's doing at each stage, or if you need to troubleshoot, of course. Although it's been very well tested, as all my scripts are. So now it's copying a virtual disk, but you kind of blink and you miss it. In fact, if we go and look at the hardware in this VM, it's a little bit artificial, mainly because I've been testing it to make sure that I can copy all the various types of virtual hardware that are in a VM. I mean, I've had serial ports and parallel ports in here as well, but they've gone now, so you can see I've got 2 hard disks. SCSI controller 0 dependent, so that means it's going to be part of a snapshot. Then I've got a second one, again thin provisioned again, but on a second SCSI controller, and this one's independent. So I've got 2 different SCSI controllers, 2 different USB controllers, 2 different NICs, floppy, CD. I've got a video card which has actually got 8 meg video memory so that I can do full HD. And what we'll see if we go over to the that's of course finished now, and it's actually started it. So let's go and have a look at the virtual hardware for this. It should be pretty much identical to what we've just seen in the source VM. So there we go, hard disk, 40 meg, thin. But what it's actually done is taken a copy of of that anyway, so it's assigned within the same folder as this VM, so it's all nicely self-contained. Our 2 SCSI controllers, our 2 USB controllers, our 2 NICs, etc., etc. So we actually go over to the console of this one that's just been created. See how quickly it's actually come up. Come on. There we go. So we can see already it's pretty much far the way down the road of the preparing it from the sysprep. So we'll next that. I'll come back to that in a moment. Accept it. Put a password in. And that's it. It's done. We've got a VM up and going. I haven't paused the video here at all. Come in. I'll slum it with a command prompt just to show you. There we go. 2 different NICs, 2 different IP addresses even from my various DHCP servers. So that's it. Nice and easy. No low-level faffing about. Power off. I'm going to, and then I can delete it from here as well. There's a little gotcha there. I'll explain elsewhere about how we have to protect the parent image that we've linked the clone from. Otherwise, I'd have to unregister and manually delete the files, but I'll cover that separately. So now I'm just going to delete that VM. Another couple of ways I can run this. So I'll give it a couple of extra command line parameters, and these are what I've actually got in a shortcut on my desktop when I want to invoke this. So that comes up, and that comes up already. Obviously with these first 2 fields, because they're stored in the registry, data store selected because that's what I had in my command line linked clone, and start after creation. So they're all there ready, so I don't even have to remember to tick those. And the other way I can run this is completely on the command line. Again, lots of arguments, but all in help within the script itself. Obviously, I can tab complete them as well. So this time, what I can actually do is I'm going to create 2 of these. What the hell? When I create more than one, it will tell me that I have to put a %d in, back to my C programming days, and that will be replaced by the number of the clone at that point in time. And that, well, okay, let's give it a minus verbose this time as well. So we can see it's creating the first clone, Manuel 1. So there we can see Manuel 1 popped into my console already. It's where it's going through looking at all the virtual devices, see what there is to set them all up. But this time it'll actually create 2 separate linked clones in the separate folders. This probably would work with vCenter as well, although obviously with vCenter there's no need for it to actually do that. And I'm just going to let that go to completion, but hopefully you'll believe me when I say there'll be 2 Manuels, Manuel 1 and Manuel 2, all ready to go. In fact, they'll have been powered up, separate VMs, and yeah, that's it. Well, I hope this is as of use to you as it is to me, because now I've got ESXi in my home lab. I'm using this a lot to create the VMs I need. Thanks for watching.